Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's approximately 2:50 p.m. on January 23rd, 2025. My name is Mike Kelly. I am the Chair of Board of County Commissioners for Johnson County, Kansas. We are here for an agenda review for the meeting to take place on January 30th, 2025. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer here.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick here.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Here.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
And Chairman Kelly.
Aye. All are present. We'll start with number one, please.
Consider approving the appointment of Ramakrishna Rama Shetty, Chairman Representative for the Johnson County Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coalition through October 31st, 2027.
Any questions? Number two, please.
Consider approving the appointment of Dennis Monahan, Second District Representative to the 10th Judicial District Nominating Commission through March 1st, 2026.
Any questions? Number three, please.
Invitation for bid IFB number 2024-058. Consider authorizing a contract with Century Fence Company for the new Century Air Center and Johnson County Executive Airport Fencing Project in an amount not to exceed $409,265, and it authorizing an increase of $235,765 to the Airport Kansas Department of Transportation, KDOT, Fencing Capital Improvement Project, bringing the new total project authorization to an amount not to exceed $409,265.
Brian Johnson, Executive Director of the Johnson County Airport Commission here. Welcome back, sir.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. Good to see all of you. All right, great project for the Johnson County Airport Commission. Of the total amount of the $409,000, almost $300,000 of this project is funded, will be funded by the state of Kansas. So a great program. This is fence that we need at both airports. This will actually enclose both airports in its entirety, which is really, really significant and important for airports. Typically, this fence is used for two reasons. One, for security. That's pretty straightforward. Most of the time, you do see fences around airports, especially with the type of people and equipment that fly in and out of these airports. And then secondarily, and as important, is it's also an element of wildlife protection for both airports. We do see wildlife throughout the year at various times, depending on the migration of whether it's waterfowl or deer. But again, this is a terrific project for us, something that we planned back in late '23. We went through the grant application process in '24, put it into our CIP program in '24 as well. So we're just bringing it in its final form to all of you. We went through the procurement process with our friends in finance and budget, and we've identified the lowest qualified bidder, which is also included in your briefing paper. So we're ready to move forward when you are, and appreciate your consideration and thought.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Questions, comments at this time? Seeing none, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Item number four, please.
Resolution number 009-25. Consider authorizing resolution number 009-25 to amend policy 180.120, grants purchasing to be in accordance with the federal uniform guidance.
Becky Jones, Deputy Director of FMA, here to present this item. Welcome back.
Thank you. Before you today is a procedural item authorizing resolution number 00925, updating the county's grants purchasing policy 180.120 to be in accordance with federal uniform guidance. The Federal Office of Management and Budget, which is OMB, updated the uniform guidance for federal grants and agreements issued after October 1st of 2024. Johnson County government must follow the federal uniform guidance when administering and managing federal funds. The uniform guidance 2 CFR, which stands for Code of Federal Regulations, Part 200, requires specific regulations be detailed in the county's grants policies and procedures regarding procurement of federal funds. Resolution number 00925 incorporates the changes made into Johnson County's policy 180.120. A summary of the resolution the revisions include revision of standards of conduct covering conflicts of interest, revision of inclusive contracting practices to include veteran-owned businesses, when possible, using products and services that can be reused, refurbished, or recycled, and updating the procurement thresholds to be aligned with the county's updated thresholds. Redlined and final versions of the policy are included in your packets for review, and with that, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jones. A procedural matter to be in compliance. In several of the places, it requires the written procedures. We have said written procedures, correct?
We do.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Ashcraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Jones, I have a number of incidental questions about the red line, if we could meet before next week. And, Mr. Chairman, I have no objection for it to stay on consent.
Okay, let me know if that changes.
I shall.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5, please.
Consider authorizing a contract extension with USIC Locating Services LLC for utility locating services within the Consolidated Main Sewer District in an amount not to exceed $265,000 until April 30th, 2025.
Aaron Witt from Johnson County Wastewater, welcome back.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Aaron Witt with Wastewater. No funding is being requested as part of this item. The funding for this comes from our operating budget. Just to give you a quick background, wastewater is a part of the Kansas One Call system. We've been a voluntary member since 2002, and then in 2009 it became law for all sanitary systems to become a part of that system. That really didn't change how we operated. We utilize a contract locator to handle the locate requests that we get from the One Call system, and we get around 100,000 of those locate tickets per year. Last summer, we put out an RFP for a new locate contract, and then we had interviews last fall, and negotiations have been going on with purchasing and wastewater staff as part of that RFP process. They've been ongoing and extended. And they're going to extend beyond our current contract deadline of January 31st. So we are asking the board to extend our current contract with USIC until April to give us time to finalize those negotiations. And then we would bring that new contract back to you for approval. USIC is willing to extend through April with an approximate 14% increase to their current cost per ticket. And the proposed cost increase is due to materials, fleet, and labor. And we've looked at that compared to others in the metro area. All those locate contracts are a little bit different, a little bit unique, but the increase is competitive with others in the metro area. So with that, I'll stand for questions.
Questions or comments at this time? Thank you, Mr. Witt. Item number 6, please.
Consider approving the January 9th, 2025 business session minutes. Commissioner Brewer was not a current member of the board at that time.
Questions on those minutes? Seeing none, item number 7, please.
Invitation for bid, IFB number 2024-069. Consider authorizing a contract with Insituform Technologies USA LLC for collection system rehabilitation and repair with cured in-place pipe and manhole rehabilitation, CMSD, contract number 38, in an annual amount not to exceed $5 million for a one-year term with the option to renew annually for 4 additional one-year terms.
Mr. Witt, once again.
Thank you. And again, with this item, funding is not being requested as part of this. It's approved as part of our capital program during the annual budget process. But as part of our asset management program, we complete inspections on our system, and then we utilize this contract to complete repairs on those assets when we find defects. For our pipe rehabilitation, we use cured-in-place pipe, or you may have heard us refer to it as CIPP. We've used this technology for a long time. It does not require excavation, so it minimizes disruption to yards, streets, those types of things. We insert the liner through manholes and then heat and cure to basically form a pipe within the pipe. It's a really cost-effective method and much less disruptive compared to having to dig up and repair a pipe. This contract also includes manhole repair options. We opened bids December 10th, and we had 3 bidders. The bidders included unit prices for the line and the manhole rehab components, and then we had a sample project used to compare the costs, and the bids are shown in the table in your briefing sheet, and the unit prices will be included as part of the contract. Insituform Technologies was the low bidder. Insituform has had our contract for the previous 5 years. Black & Veatch reviewed the bids and recommend award to Insituform, and staff agree with that recommendation, so I'll stand for any questions.
Questions for Mr. Witt, Commissioner Ashcraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would, to some degree, argue this should go on consent, but then that would mean only Commissioner Brewer was on action. So I wouldn't want her to be pointed out as being the only reason why we're having a meeting next week. I do have a couple of questions, and if we could visit before next week, and by phone is sufficient.
Okay.
Commissioner Myers?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Witt, what's the lifespan of these cured-in-place socks?
At least 50 years. They've tested it and think that it could be 75 to 100 years, so
Wow, okay.
long life.
Great.
Commissioner Brewer?
Just a clarification question for me, and thank you, Commissioner Ashcraft, for allowing me not to be the only reason a meeting's happening. The descriptor that says $5 million for a 1-year term with an option to renew annually for 4 additional 1-year terms. So approval of this, does that mean you don't have to bid for those additional terms? You're accepting this as the contractor, and if you're satisfied with the work of the contractor, we're authorizing you to be able to do the renewal within the cost scope that we're contemplating at this point in time?
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood. Thank you.
Now, I will note, there will be a management report, a legislative update, and plenty of other things to discuss. And Mr. Witt will be here one way or another, so we can try consent, just in case.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, without objection. Obviously, that can get pulled off, so we'll see you here next week nonetheless, but thank you very much. With that, our agenda review is concluded. Thank you all for your attention and diligence today. Let's go celebrate Bo. We're adjourned.